Hey guys, welcome back to another episode. And today it was just reflections really. So I wanted to talk quickly about some of the things over the last 2 weeks and how patterns have emerged, and then just something to change the rhythm a bit. So you hear in the second part of the episode where I really nail that down, kick you up the butt a little bit, and let's see what we can achieve for the rest of 2025. So the topics are: there's a bit of death, there's a bit of lessons around finite futures, and how we can potentially find some gratitude in our day-to-day life, where if you're trying to find it and you're struggling too, what can you actually do to find that? Right, enjoy the episode. Welcome back to the Identity Human podcast with your host, Don. Oh, it's good to be back. So we didn't do an episode last week, and I was away in America. And obviously in the previous episode, we talked about me losing my brother. And I said there wouldn't be an episode. So we've had 2-ish weeks now to be able to just deflate, change environment, change rhythms, explore a new world. And it was amazing, by the way. America's really cool. And now we're back into it. But I've come down with a bit of a sickness. I don't know if it's some form of infection, but I was trying to shake it. And I hate being sick. I don't know if any of you guys listening also hate it, but it's probably one of the reasons I obsess sometimes almost too much over like health, because it reminds me when I'm sick now, do you know what I mean? Like, if you don't get bothered by being sick, there's something wrong with you. I'm sorry. Not many things I take a strong stance on, but that's it. This is one of them. I really don't enjoy being dysfunctional, not being like, maybe the other side of it I thought is is it makes you really appreciate when you feel good, how good you actually are. Does that make sense? Because I was thinking that over these last couple of days. Like, I actually really enjoy being able to wake up, jump in the shower, crack on, go to gym, and like not have to like be knackered. Whereas like now I'm knackered and I don't like it. Like, I want to go to gym, but I haven't been because I want to respect my body. Being able to sit down and just focus and just have that energy to just go through. Yeah, probably Maslow's at play, isn't it? Like your survival needs. Anyway, I was thinking about today's episode and what would be best placed. So last night, if I recorded last night, I probably would have recorded the follow-ons from death. Like, just what's it like in these last 2 weeks now, where what are the experiences you go through, and what's that like? And then today I was like, actually, maybe it's a good time for a zoom out. Like, it's September now. 2025 is coming to the near end. And have you thought about that? Like, have you looked back and reflected on your year? And do those two coincide? Because there's this one thought that's definitely been going to my head. Is I said to the kids yesterday, if you wake up tomorrow, I can't remember what it's like. My daughter Laurie she said something. I was like, oh, that's one day closer to death. And she's like, you're so negative and morbid. I was like, no, it's not. Like, I'm not saying it in a negative way. But when you wake up tomorrow, have you made the most of today? And she's like, yeah, but that's so negative. And I was like, it's not negative. It is the truth. And if you can start to look at life it just is a way of finding a bit more gratitude. Like, it genuinely is like that. Tomorrow is one day closer to death. And yes, you can say that's in a negative way. Oh, you always look forward to dying, but it's not that. It's like tomorrow is one day closer to death, right? Like, we have limited time on this earth. We have a system, and I think this is how most family runs, is where you do alternate Christmases with families. And this year we are slightly changing it because it's the time for Ray's parents and us to spend Christmas with them. But my mom's coming with us to South Africa. And it was interesting because in my head I was like, oh, it's an alternate Christmas. But then I thought, you know what? Our parents are all getting old, and there's maybe 10 Christmases left. On average, there could be way less. There could be one Christmas. There could be 15. They get to live that old. But surely, if there's only on average 10, wouldn't you want to spend all 10 with as many of the people as you love, as many of those people that you love? And if you start to think about how that plays into the rest of your life, and I know this isn't a theme of death, is if you could look at things it's every moment you have lying ahead is one less after it's done. So they're finite. And if we struggle to find gratitude, then it's not that we don't have gratitude. It's not that we don't have things to be grateful for. It's just we don't have that feeling. And sometimes it's because we're looking at it from the wrong perspective. And I think maybe the death thing really helps if you can change your perspective on what's ahead, what's behind, what you've got, to just try and find that gratitude, so you do realize that like there is a finite number of these things left and you have it now, and are you grateful for it, then it does give you a slightly different energy that you won't have had before. Like this morning I spent an extra half an hour with Clark and he was sitting on the floor just playing trains. I was like, oh, I should go and work. And I was like, actually, no, do you know what? Work is just work. It'll carry on. But like in 2 years' time, Clark's not going to be sitting on the floor playing trains. I have a finite number of these train sessions left. And it's not about now living life like, oh, every moment I want to spend with Clark because there's a finite number. But it's remembering as often as possible that there is a finite number of whatever it is that you've got right in front of you. Ray and I would often talk about when's the last time you're going to pick up your kids. You may have already just done it. You may have not realized that that's happened. So I know that Ray very rarely will be able to pick up Miles and completely hug him. Like he's at 10 now. He's pretty much there and thereabouts. Luckily, Ray likes to be a bit competitive and still will pick him up. But it's intentional. We're making sure that we're taking those moments in because there are a finite number of times that you'll pick your kids up. How does this also play in? Like when we went to America, Clark essentially just slept with us the whole time because there were 7 of us because my mom came with. So to fit us all in, Clark would just sleep in between me and Ray, and I genuinely loved it. Monty came and joined us on a couple of nights, and I genuinely loved it. I was like, oh, this is so uncomfortable, but you know what? It's nice. Like I get to cuddle my kids. There's a finite number of times I'll be able to do this. So, you know, when we got back the first night, we had Clark and Monty back in our bed. And I'm usually quite good at getting up and taking them back to their beds. But I was just like, it's okay. Like we always worry so much about what we're doing to the kids now and how we should be prepping them. And like I am, don't get me wrong, I'm like very cognizant of it. But I was like, oh, you know, he wants to cuddle, then let him cuddle. And last night they didn't come, the night before they didn't come. And like, you know, like kids are confident sleepers, they'll be fine. But I just enjoyed those moments. And I think like rotating all the way back around to death, like it's so interesting seeing how we deal with death as people. And, you know, I'm hoping this doesn't offend anyone, but like I feel like the way we deal with it is completely selfish, and that's okay. Now, hear me out. I said this in the episode, and I've had a lot of people come back to me and say it was so insightful, just thinking about it in a different way, is what I mean by selfish, and there's not a negative. Like I don't use selfish as a negative. It's just a good descriptor. Is like you don't mourn the death of people as in any people. You mourn the death of people that mean something to you, right? It's because, and I said this, is like it's a part of you that they remind you of that's died, right? Because they mean something to you. So yes, of course, we mourn the death because they were a human being and they're gone. But when we look into identity work, the people at the root of suffering is attachment. And so when someone dies, because you've got an attachment to them and that's now died, we can't take it back. So I've had a few people messaging, WhatsApping me, and it's the ones that have gone through it that are messaging and being thoughtful and all that kind of stuff, because obviously once you go through it, you've experienced it and you realize how much it sucks. But then everyone deals differently. And like some people's messages have been really, really like, they said how hard it was and they understand it. And it's like, you'll never forget it and all that kind of stuff. And there's a bit of me that's like, cheapers, should I be mourning more? And so you start to get this guilt, like, oh, have we got this and I've seen it mentioned elsewhere, like you've got this expectation that we should be really, really sad for an extended period of time. But everyone deals with it differently, and some people don't deal with it. So that could be me, right? But if you can find peace with these things, and you start to realize that you don't have to mourn a certain way. You just mourn your way. And I can look around, I can see what other people do. I've looked at different cultures and how different cultures mourn. And I think like there's no right or wrong. But I also, you know, I bought Samson Armin from Samson Hall, so Phil Samson, and got to spend the last year of his life with him, and just some insight into death. And he was like, death is it's a beautiful thing. It should be so peaceful. He says everyone starts to isolate you, and you don't make all these human connections that you really should, because everyone wants to give you a privacy. But we should be in a way celebrating. Like there's nothing we can do to change it. And we had quite a few discussions around death, and it was so interesting to see that journey of his, and then now experience it with my brother, and then just see how everyone else deals with it too. It's like there's so many different ways that I think sometimes if you're not aware of it, you can also almost be put into a position where you feel guilty for not being as sad, or you you create an illusion that you should be sad, so you become sad, and then you stay stuck in the cycle of being sad because you've lost someone. But actually, it's like, if you think about it, if you can come to peace with it and accept it and move through it, it's still there. You still have this massive appreciation for the role that person played. But you also realize that you don't have to be sad about it. Like, there's still moments when I'll get like, oh, okay, I'll think of Sean, and there's like sadness slightly touches it. But actually, at the end of the day, I realized that before Sean died, because he lived in Johannesburg, yes, I could WhatsApp him and we could connect, and there's that piece that's always going to be missing. But actually, because they're not right in front of you, there's still a memory, right? So if you think about this, really weird. Anyone that's not right in front of you and touching base with you all the time, they're just a memory that you can access and remind yourself of. And when they're now gone, when they die, they are then still that memory. You just can't rehash it, get in touch and talk to it anymore. So it's not alive anymore. And I think, yeah, I'm probably going down a rabbit hole here, but I think it's an interesting journey to have gone through. Like, I've used it as obviously a learn, and that could be a coping mechanism, but seeing how other people reach out, having that feeling now, knowing that when someone else puts that they've lost someone, you're going to be able to connect with them on a different level. And for me, that's like human experience, isn't it? Is you want to experience as many things as possible so that you truly understand what life is all about. Because you can read books about death, you can read books about, I don't know, anything, any degree, for example, gives you that cognitive knowledge. But we've spoken about that, like mastery of things, where you have cognitive, emotional, and physical mastery of things. And this death has been such a good example of, you can read about death, you can think, you can even get sad about someone else that you didn't even like. In a movie, Mufasa dies in Lion King, and you get sad, right? But until you've lost someone close to you, you'll only ever have a certain level of understanding until it hits home, like until you've really experienced it. And then you have a deeper understanding of death and that feeling. And I think that should apply as a teaching for everything in life, is until you've actually gone through it, you should always hold the stance that I know what this is like in principle, but I actually don't know what it's like because I've never been through it. And it just hopefully keep you more curious, allow you to learn more, and allow us to stop being so full of advice, right? So I try not to talk about things that I actually haven't been through. And if I do, I hope I get this element, that narrative right, that I'm like, I haven't been through this, but in principle, this is what it's like. But it also helps me just check sometimes my approach towards people that are going through something that I haven't been through. And I think we see it as like when they've been quite sensitive, and I use sensitive as like a mentally sensitive aspect, not a sensitive in a degrading way. And you can come to it from a mentally tough point of view. You may struggle to really understand why they feel the way they do. So I just crack on. So like kids, if the kids are having a sulk about you, I just crack on. But actually, you've got to remind yourself what it's like to be a kid, and then you'll be able to connect to them better. Anyway, so just the second part of what I wanted to speak about is, it's September, and just reflect a bit on your year. Like, I did look, and I was like, what should I actually speak about today? And it's like 2025 is going to be coming to an end. And how's your rhythm? So us coming back from America, the holidays, how's your rhythm at home? How's your rhythm at work? And how's your rhythm in your life? Like, have you made the most of this year? And if not, don't wait until December. Don't wait until January the 1st to make a change. So the whole point is not now. So you only have a finite number of years left, and tomorrow is one less day. And it's not a morbid thing. It's just a realistic understanding that we're all going to die one day. And why wait? Why wait until next week to start your diet? Why wait until next week to make the changes you want to change? Like, if you want to make a change, just start now. There is no excuse not to start now, other than whatever it is you're telling yourself that chimp has taken over. So it's September. Just reflect. Like, if you want to journal, write down a couple of things. If you'd like taboo against journaling, just think about January through to September, what you've achieved, how well you've done, like all the hardship that you've been through, where you see failings, go, what can I learn from those? Like, just start to change the perspective of those and realize that, like, there's nothing stopping you from sitting down and setting goals for the next 3 months. There's nothing stopping you from making September's resolutions or October's resolutions, like start to plan it, like those things now. Like it does relate in essence to all the death stuff, because there is only you don't have till tomorrow to sort something out, or next week. Like, you need to take the action now. So that's kind of the approach I really want to take in my life. So I'm spreading that to you guys. And that's the whole point of this podcast, so you guys see firsthand the different phases and journeys. But I could have not recorded this podcast and come up with many reasons why we didn't put it out. And Pete, my best mate in London, he's like, I just want to live like the man I know I am, or I want to be. And so last night I just wrote down a couple of things, like, what does that man look like? Does that resonate? I was like, okay, well, if you start to embody that identity that you want to live like, then you start to make better decisions. So just start to look a month ahead, 2 months ahead. And actually, my best advice, if you haven't done this, look 5 years ahead. Like, who do you want to be in 5 years' time? And then work your way back there and start to see what you can do immediately, what you have to build to. So yeah, that's it. That's the point of this episode. Wasn't anything other than some reflections, just some learns, hopefully something resonates, and to just kick you out the butt. Like, it's September, guys. There is no reason to wait till January to make a change. There's no reason to wait till next week. You're going to be wasting your time if you just delay. Like, what's the one smallest thing that you can make a change on tomorrow that you can build on? And I was talking to someone yesterday about domino. It's like a domino habit, right? So I do cold showers. And if you want to learn how to do the cold showers, just join the waitlist on identityhuman.com. We do literally the whole program is around those, because yeah, there's so many reasons, and I'll explain to you in the challenge. But if you're not up for cold showers, then do some breath work that like changes your physiology. Do some lymphatic arm waving stuff I saw the other day, which is just waving like 100 times. But anything, just do something that starts off a change of your current rhythm. Because if you want to make a change, you're going to fight your rhythm. So you need to start to add a new note in your rhythm. If we're going to talk music, it's quite good, because I've been picking up and playing the guitar again. There we go. Pick up and play learn an instrument. So I've got my guitar back out. I'm starting to play again. I'm learning this. I'm doing the scales, and I'm going to probably learn a new song off by heart in the next month, maybe. Now I've said out loud I'm going to have to do it, because I like to be accountable. Okay, that's going to be mine. Are you guys up for a challenge? Like, learn a song on guitar. Go buy a guitar and start to learn guitar. Done. There it is. There's your challenge. If you want a tangible takeaway, go and learn guitar. It'll help you on your right hemisphere and your left hemisphere, maybe, in your brain. Okay. Well, thank you very much for watching, guys. It has been short, sharp, and sweet. And I'm going to start to look to get some guests on the podcast going forward again, to get some more stories out there. I think that'll be interesting. So remember, Ubuntu, we are who we are through others. I'll work on me for you if you work on you for me. Have a great day.